Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I filmed a video. Obviously the last videos that I'd filmed, I was pregnant and kind of talking about that whole journey. I now have a 2-month-old, 2.5 I guess, she's closer to 3 months, but yeah, 2.5-month-old, and yeah, now a mum. Life's been pretty crazy, so I've had a bit of a good chance to obviously, one, adjust to my new life and new routine, but two, kind of have a really good think about what I wanted to do with this channel. How many times have we had this conversation, or have I had this conversation in front of a camera? God knows. I believe now I've had a really good sort of perspective of like what I enjoy, what I'm good at, what people in my actual life, my close circle and stuff, come to me for, and what I can actually bring that I hopefully won't get, what's the word, imposter syndrome about. So I didn't just want to sort of jump straight into that kind of content without some sort of like transitional video. So this is the transitional intro into jumping into the next kind of content. So I really enjoyed, and I feel like I sort of started to see a little bit of growth when I was doing personal development style videos and like tips on that kind of stuff. I definitely have an interest in that, so that will still definitely have an element within my channel of like personal development, but it will be more like life coaching, so personal development, relationships, personal relationships, friendships, and like intimate relationships, that kind of stuff, and just basically like real advice for like real growth basically is what this channel is going to be about. So hopefully you guys will find that interesting, hopefully it will help, and we'll stick around for the journey on that. So I kind of wanted to give a little bit of insight if you're obviously new, or you've never watched any of my previous videos, or you just don't really know who the hell I am. The reason that I have sort of, I don't know, like, I think, so it was like in COVID is when I really started to dive into personal development. From then it's kind of just grown. I feel like I've kind of had a lot of that mindset within me anyway, but just didn't really know what it was. And then in terms of relationships, obviously I'm married. Kai and I have been together for 11 years. One of those 11 years we've been married. So we got married when we turned 10. We met at uni and were basically inseparable from the beginning. Have pretty much lived with each other our entire relationship, have a very, very strong bond, really, really great with communication, and obviously now we've got our first kid together, and we're just continuing to sort of grow our lives together, just grow, yeah. And I've learned a lot from this relationship, but also I've come from a really big family, so my personal relationship with my family, the values of family are really strong, and kind of getting through difficult periods, arguments, all that kind of stuff that families go through, we've always kind of been able to put that aside and get over it, because that sort of that value and that understanding of family is just really instilled into me. My mum is part of a big family, so my mum's one of 11, my dad's one of 7, so I've just grown up around pretty much all my cousins were like my friends growing up. And it was a great relationship because it's family, so you spend a lot more time with them, because my mum wouldn't let me stay like the whole 2-week half term at a friend's house, but she would at my cousin's, because it's family, if that makes sense. So we spent a hell of a lot of time together growing up, and it's an incredible bond that I'm super grateful for basically. So I feel like those kind of unique aspects of my upbringing and stuff like that have really helped me understand like relationships, which is why I tend to always give advice on them. Like my friends will come to me when they want the real hard, honest truths in regards to relationships. So I feel like I can have some really good conversations around this and just kind of say the truths that people need to hear. And also I do really enjoy helping people and helping people grow and stuff. And so yeah, that's me babbling and rambling on about that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. So I think we'll just get straight into this video. Hope you enjoy it. Please leave a comment down below if any of the points that I'm talking about have helped you, or if you agree with them, or if you've got a different perspective. So I'd love to hear that, so definitely leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel too, because that would be great. So let's get into it. I wanted to start this video at the beginning, obviously, or probably the best topic to start having these kinds of conversations about relationships, and that is the foundation. This is something that I genuinely think is super duper important, but I also think that if it's not done right, you can amend it with a lot of work and stuff like that. And obviously both of you have to be on the same page and all this kind of stuff. So it's a lot easier if you can get the foundation of a relationship solid and like pretty much set in stone from the beginning. Like you want to set that standard right from the start, and it's a hell of a lot easier. You won't have so many like ups and downs and all sorts of stuff if you can have that right from the start. I think the problem with setting a really strong foundation right from the beginning is people tend to either not really know their own boundaries that much, and they're still kind of getting to know their own boundaries. They don't really have much self-esteem, self-respect is still growing, all of that kind of stuff. So people tend to put up with a lot of stuff that they don't actually deserve and they don't like, and want to give people second chances, and then won't stand by their initial word. And what I mean by that is, if you set a standard and then you don't follow through, your word basically means nothing and you lose all credibility within that relationship. So if you get into an argument, it gets really, really heated, they start calling you names, and you set a boundary straight away of, you will not speak to me like that, I will not stand for it, if you do that again, this is over. And then they do it again and you just say the same thing again, I will not stand for that, if you do that again, honestly, I'm leaving. You should have already left because you set that standard. If you do it again, I'm not going to stand for it, I'm going to be gone. They did it again. So they're obviously not respecting that boundary that you're setting. If you're going to say something, you're going to have to follow through with it, and that can be really difficult, especially when you really like someone, or yeah, you're just vulnerable once your heart's kind of open, you've like allowed someone in like that. So it can be quite difficult to set these sort of standards. What usually happens, and I know that this happened with me, for example, when I started dating Kai right at the beginning, you have your own experiences of previous relationships, and that's like the norm because that's what you've obviously experienced. So you kind of just get used to thinking that that's how all relationships are. So I know that the first argument that Kai and I ever got into when we were right in the beginning, still getting to know each other, still learning how to communicate with one another, I was shouting like no belief, and Kai completely just switched off, disengaged, did not give me the time of day, which obviously made me then even more crazy and enraged me even more because he just was basically ignoring me. But he just wasn't entertaining it at all. Once the whole situation calmed down, that's when he sat me down and was like, I will not have you speaking to me like that, like I just won't even entertain it, like you're not going to speak to me like that. And it was like, I remember it being a bit of like a oh kind of moment for me, and being like, this is different, because every previous relationship I'd ever had, it was like you got into an argument, it would turn into like a screaming match. You would just shout at each other, you'd shout all sorts and get really, really heated, and you'd say things you didn't mean because it's just in the moment, like all that kind of stuff. Whereas this was not like that at all. Like it didn't escalate to that point because he just was not entertaining it. Once I had basically calmed down, he pulled me aside and was like, you're not speaking to me like that, like you can speak to me like a normal adult, like. And it really set the tone for our relationship, and we never argued like that ever again. Like we never shouted at each other. We would bicker, we'd, you know, you'd get heated, but it really set the tone for the relationship. And it was from that moment on that I was like, okay, this makes complete sense. Like, you really need to nip things in the bud straight away. Like, it was like understood, like, okay, yeah, that makes complete sense. I won't speak to you again like that. And you know, we've never called each other names, like nothing ever like that. We've never done anything like that, and we've been super duper open in terms of what we need in the moment as well, which I think is a massive thing. A lot of relationships in the beginning, you're sussing each other out. You're also putting on your best face. You're putting your best foot forward, because obviously you're getting to know each other. You want to impress this person, and you're doing everything you kind of can. You're being the person that you ultimately wants to be. You're not really showing the person that you truly are. So, you know, everyone tends to get on really, really well, and it's the 3-month period that, you know, tends to be quite bliss. And then after 3 months, it tends to start, the cracks start to show, as people say. In those first 3 months, setting the foundation probably isn't necessarily going to be that easy, because obviously you don't really know what you're dealing with, because you're dealing with their best self, their kind of ego, the person that they want you to see. It's going to be quite difficult to set foundations in that period. However, if you are in the type of situation where you're playing games right from the get-go, that, for me personally, that is always just huge red flags. I just am like, how in the hell are you gonna build anything substantial when that's how you started? Like, it makes no sense to me. That always screams relationships that are going to be super up and down, rocky, like trust issues, all sorts. It's going to be just crawling up in that thing. But the first 3 months, as I was saying beforehand, just got a little bit sidetracked. Those first 3 months are definitely like, you know, you're getting to know each other. They're super nice, really enjoyable, like honeymoon period, right? That's what everyone usually calls it. There is no reason, for me personally, this is genuinely what I believe, there's no reason why that honeymoon period should ever really truly end. It will change and transition, but when you truly find the right person, it's always kind of a bit like the honeymoon period, to be honest. Like, you just get on, like, it's nice to be around that person. But it's all about how you set the foundation, how you have that first argument, and how you set your standards, set your boundaries, set all of that stuff. So yes, the first time, you know, they do something wrong, or that you don't like, or that oversteps a boundary, and you then set that standard, because obviously if you've never come across it, it's bloody weird to be like, I won't stand for this and I won't stand for that, if it's never happened. Like, you shouldn't really be bringing things up that haven't happened. But when you are met with an incident where you're like, I don't like this is not what I'm going to stand for, this is not what I see in a relationship, that's where you need to set it straight away. Set that goal, like, no, this is not how I see a relationship going, it's not what I want, if this happens again, I'm done. Once you set that sort of foundation there, you kind of need to stick to it. So I guess what you really need to understand is the kind of relationship that you're looking for, what you will stand for, what you won't stand for. You need to have that understanding. And to be fair, I do think that a lot of that will come from previous relationships, what you've experienced, that kind of stuff. But it will also come from your own self-love and what you know you deserve. If you're not really liking yourself that much, and you don't have that positive relationship with yourself, you're not gonna trust in your standards, if that makes sense, because you obviously don't believe that you deserve well and all that kind of stuff. So that journey, that sort of work of personal development really then needs to happen. Now, I personally don't really believe that you need to be alone to do that. However, it is a very vulnerable state, experience, whatever you want to say, when you're sort of doing that personal work. And if you're with the wrong person, you can get taken advantage of. So it's not necessarily a thing of like, you have to be on your own to go through that journey. However, the likelihood that you've found the right person that's not going to take advantage of you, that's confident within themselves that they don't actually need like your full love and attention, and they're okay with being like your second or third priority because they're good. It's quite hard, and it's not that common to kind of find that. So a lot of the time it is best to kind of do that work on your own and be single or unattached to anyone when you're learning about yourself, learning your standards. And the thing is when you set like, I'm just going to focus on myself and like prioritize that, it's really going to open your eyes to the right person. Because once you get to a point where you're really happy with yourself, by yourself, in your own company, you're not seeking happiness from another person. You're literally now searching for someone to just share your life with and share their life with. And it is purely like two independent individuals who have come together and are just like living life together. Once you get to that sort of point of like, that's what you're looking for, and you're not depending on anyone or anything like that, they're now competing with you because you're okay on your own. You don't really need them. It's not a need, it's a want. And when you want something over when you're needing it, you can be a lot more selective. So having that love for yourself and like that true sort of backing, in terms of like, no, this is what I deserve. Like, I don't deserve someone that's going to call me names. I don't deserve someone that's like going to lie to me. I don't deserve someone that is going to be out all night and not answer the phone to me, or whatever you're kind of looking at a relationship and how you kind of want that partnership to be. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. So to kind of look back then, so when setting that foundation, and we're talking about starting of new relationships and setting those foundations and stuff like that, you really need to set it straight away in terms of the standard. And then when you set I don't even know what the word would be, it's not like an ultimatum, but it's like when you put a boundary up and you're saying, you know, I'm not going to put up with this if you do this again, like it's done. You need to stick with that, guys. So make sure that you're actually staying true to your word and don't say anything you're not meaning, basically. So it's really starting that honest and strong communication from the get-go, and it's all about communicating those boundaries that you want to set. And that basically kind of transitions a little bit into the next kind of conversation that I want to have around relationships, and that is all about communication. So the next video will definitely dive into communication and all of the things that I've learned throughout the years and the best way to really truly communicate, and tools and tips that you can use that I've personally used that have really helped Kai and I in our relationship find the way that we communicate with each other. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next one where we talk all about communication. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below. I'd love to know what you got I'd love to know the best thing that you took away from the video, and also please subscribe to the channel. See you next time, bye.